So what is a thane? Well, thane is the Scottish word for nobleman, I suppose. But we've broadened out that category because we've got some women in there, Lady Macduff, also some children of other noblemen, so Fleance, Macduff's son. But really what they are they're quite significant, hefty characters who are involved in the royal household. A lot of them are quite militaristic. And so we were looking for whiskies which had that weight, right? So you're thinking about things which are around 30, which is particularly hard to find.
Yeah, really easy, thanks, Lex.
Yeah, yeah.
The point about the Thanes is that they are really important. So these are really important whiskies. They're grand whiskies, they're elegant whiskies. But it's almost, even though the Thanes don't do anything, anytime they appear, something happens. And they're indicators of how the play is shifting. They start off as being the retinue of Duncan. And then as soon as Macbeth becomes king, they all jump ship. And they kind of, oh yeah, Macbeth, well done, he's going to come and sit next to me. They're immediately trying to, we've got to be on the right side, just in case something bad happens. And then obviously something bad does happen. And one by one or pair by pair, they begin to jump ship and they move over to Malcolm's side again. So they're kind of self-serving individuals. And there's all this kind of complexity to the characters. Angus, although he doesn't really necessarily say anything, is a really good example of how this moves forward. So a tasting note, quietness can be an asset. Those who stand in the shadows are the silent witnesses, messengers ready to do their bidding. Much has been seen, and any sweetness which has been gathered in will be balanced by the darker acts of war, plotted under paraffin light. There is spice in the tales told. So he's observing, and he's made that decision to move away from Macbeth.
All of the characters we've launched in the Thanes, they do have weight to them. He's a heavy character and he's been forced to pick up his sword. And I feel like this is a malt that does exactly that. It's a weighty character, but there's an undercurrent of action.
I mean, it's difficult to find whiskies nowadays of great age which are still, full of life. We're very pleased that these actually are really, really good.
You have a touch of the fruit and the depth, and then you've got the wood, and the wood I think gives you that oiliness, and it gives you that spice and that darkness and the richness that you talk about. I loved this whiskey. I remember the samples coming in and being just so happy to find something that has all of those layers. And when you talk about the Thanes, they obviously, because as you say, they have to stand up to the leads, they have to have these layers. To that point today, Glengarry is now floor malted and direct fired stills. So if we were to do, not that Angus has a son, but if Angus had a son and we were to bottle it in 10 years' time.
So I was going to say, if we're still doing this in 30 years.
Well,
it will be a different style. It'll be a continuation of that character development. But I kind of feel that's one of the wonders of whiskey, and it's one of the wonders that you get to explore that in the play as well. You get to explore the development of these characters and those distillers. So
this is the one that Dave always gives me a hard time about my pronunciation of. I'm going to get it right now. Menteith. There you go.
You've learned something. Menteith for me, and this really came from the watching of the plays, is one of the Thanes I think who's probably had the most comfortable life, and there's something just kind of fat and substantial about him. But obviously was a warrior at some point, and Benriach for me always has this fascinating balance of floral character, fruity character, bit of the smokiness coming from char, and it's complex. There's a lot of stuff a lot of descriptors in there, and that's Benriach.
Again, Benriach is one of those malts that has a wonderful history, a changeable history. But this period of Benriach is rarely seen. I think we went for a period maybe 10 years ago where you started seeing early 90s Benriach, but it wasn't drinking like this, and you're starting to really see it being a voluptuous malt, but still with that slight floral edge, as you say.
Yeah, Benriach, as Ollie, as you're saying, very difficult to find. But it is one of those malts which ages gracefully. I think, we try Benriachs from the 70s, they are wonderful, they really are. And again, back even into the 90s, beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great journey. at home among spring orchards and drifts of honeysuckle, the troubled world seemingly unknown. But there are deeper layers to test you, a firmness of resolve, a steel at the heart. The tongue may seem sweet, but can also be cutting. Do not be deceived.
This is probably my favourite malt. It's also, I think, my favourite character because she doesn't back down. I remember early days working for Sukhinder, you'd be introduced to the bottlings from the 60s and 70s of this amazing distillate that is both very zesty and fruity, but so flexible. And in this, you have that zestiness, that elegance, but you have also this spice and this firmness to it.
It is again predominantly a blending malt, and it's really one of the key components in Johnny Walker products, and especially the aged Johnny Walker products like Blue Label, etc. I think it's a very, very key component in that, which gives you the robustness, the backbone to those blends. And when you try it on its own, you see how much of a rich fruit-led malt it is.
Mm. But there's good ones, and then there's
really good.
and then and it's magnificent. Some fantastic whiskey.
Yeah.